All right. Welcome, beautiful people. This is live on my personal stream as well as being recorded to Facebook and put into the Radiant Evolution Collective, where we were originally scheduled to exclusively go live. But Zoom had other plans and would not let us go live directly in there. So here we are just on my personal timeline, which is perfect. Maybe more people will see it this way because this is designed to be an uplifting and activating conversation that I'm sure will find the ears that it needs to hear. It is public, so if you feel like there's someone that needs to hear this, then please go ahead and share it. I'm Aurora Light. I am the host of this Evolve Summit, an alchemical evolution summit that is for me to highlight beautiful people like Maria here, who have been part of my Evolve 90-day accelerator for soulpreneurs. So over this next week, I'll be speaking with many different entrepreneurs who are following their heart and aligning with their soul mission and sharing their gifts with the world. And we're going to be talking about what the journey has been like, because it is always a wild ride. So Maria here is a modern day Bruja, which is Spanish for witch. And she's also a spiritual empowerment coach. But that is only scratching the surface of who you are and what you do. Multidimensional, multi-passionate woman. Welcome. So good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been so excited to be on here today with you. Hi, everyone. As you guys know, I am Maria. Being multi-dimensional and multi-talented in many, many different ways, being a spiritual empowerment coach actually is just a portion. Oh, I apologize. Sorry about that. Honey, it's okay. Take care. My apologies, everyone. I have my German Shepherd here with me, who is quite spirited. It's okay, sweetheart. Come here. My apologies.
It's okay. It's real life.
Spirits are always telling us that there's someone at the door. It's okay, honey. It's okay. It's okay. Calm down. It's okay. My apologies. Give me 1 second. Come here.
That's okay. I was also making sure that I had shared this to the right place. It has been a day with so many interesting extras. You notice that? Just a lot of energy that's feeling almost a little chaotic, almost a little like extra to navigate. We dropped in and we got centered before we came on because there was some tech challenges.
And it's funny that we say that because August is the time where it gets closer to harvest, right? So a lot of quick, fast things that we're always trying to, finish. And in our energy, in our soul, that's kind of what we do, because it's kind of in our system when we're trying to finish all the things that we're supposed to finish before summer ends. So among the other things that I also do is I'm actually like a dream interpreter. I do other multiple items as well too in life. And one of my biggest things and my goals in life is always to help others manifest into their dreams, placing it into reality. So that's kind of what I'm here for. And taking this challenge with Aurora has uplifted my spiritual ability, has uplifted my game, I want to say, brought in so much more courage and much more awareness to myself as to why I woke in the first place.
I love that. You've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I know your background is in business. So life looks very different than it did even just a few years ago for you. So can you bring us back and tell us a little bit, like I know some of the details of your background and where you started in business, and then let me know what happened during the pandemic that shifted all of that.
Well, so yes, I was in business quite a while back ago, and I still am. During that time, I took my international business, lived in BC, stayed there for quite some time. And then afterwards, I actually ended up coming back here in Edmonton due to circumstances and as well as personal stuff with family. And then I was working with a company for quite some time. And then the pandemic hit. And I was going through a transition in my relationship. And then all of a sudden, during that time, I was instantly bombarded. And I say bombarded because they just showed up out of nowhere. I mean, I saw them also before. I'm intuitive throughout my entire life. I just never told anybody really outside of my family. And then all of a sudden, there was my grandmother from my dad's side just standing there going, "Are you gonna wake up yet or what?" Are you coming? Like, I know you're a volunteer, but like, come on, you see what's happening out there, right? I'm like, yeah, am I supposed to do something about that? And she goes, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then as soon as she appeared, I had my other two ancestors pop up out of nowhere and start sending me all these informations and getting me to really align and open with myself and be truthful about what it is I came here for. It's funny because I thought I was just supposed to observe from the background for a really, really long time. And then suddenly, boom, it just, the entire pandemic, I could feel, sense, hear people much more louder than I had ever had in a long time. I remember actually walking Bandito, who you guys all just heard, down the street of where I was in the south side of Edmonton, closer to where I lived with our friend Rosalind. And I started crying with him, standing like he was kind of like nudging himself towards me. And all of a sudden, I knew I had to be awakened even more. I knew I had to accept my gifts much more than I did prior. I would dabble into it a little bit here and there. I would know for myself, but I was supposed to expand to the point where I had to guide and show people that they have all these amazing magical abilities inside of them. And then as I grew, this is one of my favorite stories, but I actually was talking to our friend Rosalind on the phone for 3 hours, giving her an ancestral reading and past life reading. And I evolved into that. And during that time, I think prior to that, I had met you. And there was just such a huge connection with us. There was this guidedness to just be around this energy that I'm already so accustomed to, but to really expand myself even more. And then throughout my journey within the last 2 years, someone very dear to me passed, but one of the hardest things I had to do was really accept that grief. But I went to Mexico for 3 months, and I instantly found even more of myself there. I found that peace that, I like to say peace de resistance because it was exactly what I needed. I may have went to a Spanish country, but I came back somewhat French too. But my journey was all about understanding the balance of life inside of myself and really accepting the magic that was gifted to me because it came with me and I needed to see that. And so as I continued on to my journey, I started my challenge with you, and it's been nothing but amazing abundance, fruition, connections that I never thought I would have 4 years ago.
That's amazing. Yeah, we did meet prior to the pandemic, prior to you stepping into this more present role as a guide and as a leader and as an intuitive, as a spiritual empowerment coach and Bruja. And you were actually a photographer at that time. I mean, you still take amazing photos. We did some the other night, just casually. And I remember when I met you, you just had this energy of connection with everything, and you were taking it all in, and you like to weave things together. I could feel that about you, right? You were so able to bring all of your gifts like through into our photography session. If anyone's ever seen any of the photos of me on like any of my websites or sales pages, those are usually from Maria. Those are the beautiful ones. She's got a gift and an eye and everything like that. And yet, what was it that happened? I think it was that before we did our session, you sat down and you meditated for like 30 seconds and you called it all in. And I was like, this is going to be a really amazing day.
Yeah.
I did notice, I don't know if I've ever told you this, at that time, you were a little bit shy about that part, right?
Mhm.
Like you kind of rushed through it because you needed to do it, but you were like, okay, I know it's kind of weird, so I'm going to do it anyway. But there wasn't that confidence that you now carry with your spiritual connection and your gifts. So it's been just so magical to watch you bloom into not only the acceptance, but the true embodiment of what it is to be a woman with this spiritual connection, with your intuition fully on, and you hold that now in your field. And so it's so great because you're now an activation point and a portal for other people, because you're like, this is what it looks like, this is what it feels like to be super aligned and to not hold back what it is that you really truly are, which I adore. And I'm so, so grateful that you are doing that now. But what was that journey like before? You mentioned you were intuitive always, but like you didn't really lean into it.
So when I was younger, actually, when we first came to Canada, my mom had enrolled me in a Catholic school of all places. And, obviously she comes from a Filipino background. So I'm half Spanish and Filipino myself. But we came to Canada hoping to start a new life. And one of the many things I got shunned for when I was a kid was I was making a candle in school during class because I was trying to adjust with the time. So I was intuitively told by one of my ancestors who's been my guides throughout my life, make a candle. Then this will help you shift into the energy field of this country. So I said, okay, no problem. But then all of a sudden, a school teacher thought I was being a witch, which I didn't realize was a terrible, shunning thing here until I knew that what we were doing or what I was doing was considered bad. So at that time, my mom got called in by the principal into the school office, and they had actually asked for a priest to show up. And he started blessing me. I don't know if they were expecting me to melt, but I didn't. So my mom told me that all of the things that I'm doing is not something that everybody is used to. And that was very difficult for me to understand as a child. Throughout my time, my mom and I have hid what I was able to do for the longest time, because as for her, she was fearful that people would start burning me at the stake for some reason. So I never truly tapped into it. I actually have a medium girlfriend who went ahead of me and actually did it right away. But I was aware she was going to open up into that. We touched into it a couple of times here and there. I would play with tarot cards a little bit, but then everyone around me would always say, oh, that's bad, oh, that's negative, oh, this is not for you, you're not this person. And so I kept holding myself back. Oh, it's going to make me cry a little. But one of the hardest things was I was told not to be who I was quite a bit during my time of teenage years, as well as my adult years. In my last relationship with someone who really tried to ensure not to tap into my intuition, I then had my entire time trying to understand why it was so difficult for me to be who I was. I was this shy person that you met as well too during the time we had the photography session. And I wasn't really as accepting to it until I met you and Rosalind, where I saw a world where people were actually becoming more accepting of intuition. And then I told my mother about it, and she goes, are you sure they're good friends? And I said, well, no one said anything yet. And so then I started out, it was really funny. Actually, Rosalind and her husband, myself, and the person I was with at that time, basically sat at a restaurant in the south of Edmonton. And then all of a sudden I sat there and we're talking about colors. I started with aura colors first to see how the reactions would be. And then I kept moving up and up. And then suddenly I kept calling myself a bruja. And that's when everything opened, everything expanded, and my heart finally felt at peace. I didn't feel so heavy anymore because I was holding it in so much. I finally was able to express who I was without being told not to express who I was. It was a transition of growing into myself and understanding that everything who I am is exactly where I needed to be, but honoring where I came from.
Mm. You said earlier before we were live that you're really blending the ancient traditions with more of the new age spirituality and being this bridge. And I absolutely adore that because I love to work in the 0 point where all time is now. So that ancient future wisdom gets to blend into everything that we do, and it's so delightful to see that and to witness you. And Roz is watching on the live and she's just like, I remember that, yay. She helped.
Messaging me, I love her.
Oh, Rosalind, beautiful catalyst for so much creation and embodying in her field the possibility of what it looks like to own who you are. And that is such an important part on the journey to entrepreneurship. And in Evolve and in all my programs, I always teach 3 things that I guess we're just going to say her name again, Roz. Roz actually helped me tease out when I was trying to bring all of my galactic magic that I was here to bring to the earth and root it in and bring it into this holistic model. Like, how do I explain this to people? And we came up with the system that I used to call joyful alchemy, but now I call it evolutionary alchemy because not everyone finds the shifts and changes so joyful because it can be kind of hard sometimes. But it starts with transformation as the essential first pillar. And then we move into activation, connection with that highest self, and then embodying it. And what I heard you speak into so brilliantly was the whole bridge of that experience that I truly think is what everybody goes through when they're on this journey of becoming more aligned with their cosmic trajectory and who they really are. So you spoke first into that transformation piece. You were navigating not only the childhood stuff, but also the ancestral stuff from your mom's years, right? The epigenetic wounding of the witches that were burned and of all of the magical women who were cast aside, drawn and quartered, hung, and other horrible things, right? And if you had not been able to shift some of those old beliefs or come to a space of not actually believing them anymore, would you have been able to step fully into who you are today? Like, what was that process like?
Oh God, no. I mean, if I hadn't been able to do that within my own repatterning inside of myself for that belief, I think none of us would, because we would have been into that old wound side where we're like, oh, wait, this is bad. Oh, this is not good. And I think that's that part of an acceptance as well, too, right? You know, in my journey, I've been told so many times, you can't do that. You're not allowed. And it was just like, I felt like I was being restricted of being who I was. And until the moment I was able to find our beautiful catalyst, that I was able to step into my power, step into my magic. And that transformation right there was one of the hardest, most brutal, beautiful, and calming experiences I have ever felt in a long time. And it was like my soul finally set back into my body, because I felt like I was always spaced out elsewhere. Just watching and observing and like kind of accepting the fact I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things. And then when my soul and my body finally aligned together and said, this is a belief that is needing to be repatternized, you are the one that needs to help get there. I finally shifted back into my soul. I was like, okay, guys, I'm here. I'm here. How's it going?
I love that. And you described it so perfectly, because I feel like so much of our existence is like us being quite embodied as children, and then experiences take us away from ourselves, and there becomes this space between our body, our mind, and then our soul. And soul feels like something that's up here. It's ineffable, it's intangible, and people are like trying to connect in, trying to understand it. And truly, I believe the difficulty in connection is trauma in the body, right? That feeling of dis-ease and tension in the body that doesn't allow us to be soft and open and quiet enough to allow soul to be reintegrated, right? To be connected, to be able to feel our intuition. So that's another huge part of the transformation, is actually feeling safe enough in your body to make that connection, to be quiet enough to listen. Because I know for you, your ancestors were like, hey, listen to me. But for a lot of us, it's a quieter whisper at first, right? So I'd love for you to speak a little bit on some of those magical gifts that you support other people in accessing as well, especially when it comes to their intuition and remembering who they are.
Okay. Well, one of the many things that I'm actually working on right now is connecting people to their ancestral roots, going back into their homeland, understanding the magic of where they originated come from, and using that to bridge into their new age. So my abilities come with working through your past life, seeing where you were at and what connections you have, but also bringing in the ancestors that you have here and now to work with you, to understand the magic that you have within. Because what we do as children is the same thing as we do as adults, but sometimes as children, we tend to block a lot of our abilities. And my ancestors and your ancestors are here to show you the abilities that you have within you. What my ancestors do is they channel with me to help me open the bridge between you and your ancestors, and how it is that we can work together to bring you back into your roots. Understanding your roots right now is the most detrimental understanding of where our magic truly does come from in a way, but also bridging and understanding that we come from star seeds, right? So connecting you, why you're connected to those star seeds. Why is it your roots are around that area? Because that star seed of you landed there. So that's what I help with my clients right now, and truly understanding that a lot of their historical background really helps to emerge their magic even more, and really tap in more into their clairvoyance, clairsentience. Forgive me, I'm not good at the clairs. I just know the old school way: smell, feel, hear, sense, and see. So the first honest stuff that we usually have is feel, sense, and hear. We get the seeing after, but it's the smelling that brings us even more into our magical being. So that's what I do to help people. I open that intuition with them and I guide them with it. I work a lot with the inner child stuff as well too. And that's something that I find very close to my heart, because I have obviously have gone through the same or different, whatever you feel called to at that time. But the understanding of the inner child work really does help to elevate us into that magical being that we're supposed to be, that we are.
One of the reasons I love you so much, we're doing so many of the same things. And I just need to speak into that for a moment. I have clients that will say, I want to do this thing, I want to create this business, but I don't have anything new to say, right? We need to destroy and uncreate any stories that you're making up about what you need to do, needing to be like original, unique, and so different from what everyone else is saying. Because I tell you that almost every intuitive women, at least that I connect with, in clients, in friends, as mentors, they are doing the same damn thing in different ways with different tones and different voices and different games and activities and things like that. But it's all about bringing people home to themselves in a way that allows their inner child to feel safe enough to connect with who they really are and trust themselves enough to be that, to do that. And the work that you're explaining is so profoundly important that I just want to say, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I feel like that's kind of what I do, or that's what I would want to do, it's because it's the most important work. It's the truth with a capital T, and we need all hands on deck and all voices to be sharing with your own unique essence. Like, so Maria and I do really similar things. You know what? Our ideal clients are not the same. Well, sometimes they're the same people, and we've worked with some of the same people, but there's no competition. There's no overlapping or scarcity when we're playing in all of these realms. There's only abundance and lifting each other up, because this is what we were all here to do. If you're on this mission, then we need you to do it too. All of this profound healing work, connecting with the intuition, and then doing those things that are in alignment with our highest self. So fun. And because I just knew there's a few people that are watching this that are like, oh man, that sounds kind of like what I do, so I don't think I can do it too. That comes up a lot.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It's one of those things that's just, we say we're not ready, but that's that fear that comes in instantly because it's an instinct that was brought into us. But once we let go of that fear, we can be as ready as we want to be. I'm just here to help guide you along the way, right? There's times that we have so many doors and paths that open to us that we get lost and confused. My hand is just there to guide you. That's what I'm here for.
I love that. I could say ditto. And I love that this is the new paradigm, is that people that are stepping into these leadership roles, especially recently, they're not placing themselves as guru, as know-it-all, even sometimes as teacher, but more as that guide and space holder, helping people discover what their own internal compass looks like and feels like, and just holding in their fields what's possible, and then showing some tips and tricks along the way.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Everybody can be intuitive. Everybody can connect with their ancestors, but maybe in different ways. We have different clairs that come through differently, right? We sense things differently. For me, I was always very claircognizant, where just information we downloaded to my brain, and I would know, but I wouldn't know how I knew. And it's so funny. I've never told you this before, but it was actually my grandmother on my mother's side that came to me a couple times after she had passed. And there was a very strong message of, okay, you need to start working on your intuition. This is the thing that is going to take you to where you need to go. And that was about almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it has been the most powerful and profound thing. And honestly, she doesn't stay around. She's not like your ancestor.
Yeah.
She was like, you just
it, right?
Sometimes, yeah. It's just like, you need to know this stuff, right? And it's so lovely to know that where that comes from, right? From on my side of the family, it's the Celtic roots of the.
I kind of figured.
Exactly. And so I want to actually just get you to imagine, and everyone that's watching, to imagine for a moment. You can even close your eyes for this. What would a world where everybody was able to feel safe enough and at home enough to let their inner child out to play and connect to their intuition, what would that world feel like? What would it look like? And what would change? What would those people in the world do? Can you imagine a world where everyone was following their own highest guidance from their higher self or their ancestors? How do you think that would shift and change?
I think, it's really interesting that you bring that up, because I actually just had a conversation from someone in Hawaii about this, about balance and bringing everyone towards where everyone has that intuition and they're so open to it. She'd mentioned to me she had a nephew who's very intuitive. And I see a world of just trusting and just being and connecting with the earth and the skies. I see a world of honoring ourselves and honoring the land and honoring Mother Gaia and honoring the gods, the Palladians, whatever it is, to a point where it's not honor, but more of like respecting ourselves and being so true to who we are. And why I say so true, because children actually are super true to who they are. They don't care. It's not that they don't care. It's more of they have the most intuitive ability to just say whatever comes out of their mouth. And that's what we are supposed to be like. We are supposed to just trust and accept. And I think that if that world actually came into being, we'd all have so much fun. We'd just pass out on the like grass. So much play, so much play. Just the amount of play that we would have within ourselves.
Yep. And that is the world that I know that we are headed towards, because there are so many amazing people like you, like all of the speakers at the summit that are coming up this week, like our friend Rosalind, like so many. And forgive me, there are some men, but most of whom the ones I see are women that are bringing this in, this return to the natural rhythms, but in a way that does bring through, as the ancients did, the galactic, and bring that magic down to earth to be rooted in. So we're working in harmony and celebrating the cycles, the seasons, and the diversity, just like we do in nature, without fighting it. Right. And yes, there's so much more play that can be had when we have that space ability, because we trust. And kids are so amazing at that.
They truly are.
They are. But the thing is, the kids don't have the wisdom. So the cool part that we're going to do on our spiritual evolution in this journey is of getting to a point in us where we can let our inner child, which has never grown up, feel free to express and play and create, but also to have the wisdom and the experience holding all of it together. Like that's where the magic happens. I wouldn't want to stay a kid.
Yeah. And and this is my honest truth, you guys. And if you were watching this, Aurora has most definitely brought the inner child in me. There is even to a point where my man, who's my beautiful partner and has been growing with me along the way, in this 90-day movement and evolution of myself, is that his child has come out. My child plays with his child, and we literally bring each other to an amazing like realm of creation of our own, right? Like there'd be moments, and I have to thank you for that, because if it wasn't for me watching all the replays, because as you guys may not know, I had to rewatch a lot of them. But it just helped me to be not okay, but to accept that she was still that 6-year-old that just wanted to hang out and not have lost her dad. She just wanted to play. And I've taken her hand several times before, but I finally took her hand this year and said, okay, let's go. And she's been here the entire time, just hanging out. My man will probably tell you guys that I act more of a child now than I did last year with him. So he would probably testimonial to that as well. So I want to say thank you, because this has been such an amazing program for me to not only accept who I was even more now in my transformation, but to truly sit in with myself and honor that, and be aware of that inner child, that adult, that everything, this woman that I have become. So thank you.
I will receive that. And that makes my heart so glad, because that's always the intention. So Maria was part of the 90-day evolutionary accelerator for entrepreneurs. And it was so interesting, because as we went through that program, I realized that it was not the next thing that I was going to do again. So this is not an invitation to to do the thing that these people did, because I'm not going to do that for a while. What really came through, it was an opportunity for me to actually create the foundation for entrepreneurs to become entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs. And I'm creating a program right now that is going to be a certification program for conscious life creation coaches, transformational workshop facilitators, to be able to create their own spiritual academy, to do all of these things, to host their own courses, to host their own programs in a way that brings literally all of the elemental forces of creation in as a structure to work with Gaia, but also bring that galactic magic down to earth, and to dance and to move and to play and work with all of these elements in a way that'll support the creation success of their business, but then also of their clients. So I am super, super excited to have this opportunity to help people that want to make this leap into entrepreneurship, because not everybody has like the business background that you did, right? Where you're like, okay, well, I can just move my business skills over and create my own thing. And in a moment, I'm going to get you to tell people a little bit about what you're doing, how they can follow you, and all of that. But just because it's the perfect segue, I'm going to drop a link to the waitlist, mailing list for more information about this certification program that's happening, because it's going to be this opportunity to be able to step into a role like I have, or like Maria has, while not having to figure out all of the structures and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the trainings and everything like that to know how to create it, right? And that's going to be so much fun. So that's what I'm up to. Evolved me too into something new, something bigger.
I love it.
But what are you doing right now? What are you offering? And if people align with you, how can they work with you?
So I actually will drop my link here in a second as well after I finish letting you guys know. I'm actually doing a beta course right now in accessing your ancestors, which is a 4-week course, and it starts on the day of my birthday, which is September 13th. So I will drop my website here just to kind of let you guys know who I am, but also my Instagram and as well as my Facebook to connect with me. I actually have a waiting list for this one as well too. So the program is a 4-week course on truly accessing your roots, understanding your magic, and connecting with your aligned soul. And this is a program that really focuses on a good 1.5 hours in each week, where we really go deep into where your family's from, where you're from, your history, and so on, and just see how far it goes. So like I said, it's a 4 weeks course beta. I'm just trying to see how it all works out for everybody. But I'm only taking a limited amount of space as well too, because of the energy that is required with it as well. So yeah, super excited to actually put that together and get everybody in there.
That's amazing. I'm so excited for you. And that sounds like a really amazing place for people to start if they're not sure how to begin working with their ancestors, right? Or how to move into their intuitive gifts. So I would highly recommend checking that out, because Maria is an amazing access point to all of that information, and then also so much more.
I also do Reiki and sound bowl healing now as well too in my home, but I haven't had the chance to set that up just yet. I believe that's going to be a fall thing as well too. Another thing that I will notify a lot of people is that I am taking intakes for a retreat that will be happening in Hawaii in April. I'm working with a local person who actually is also an intuitive medium as well too, where we will both be facilitating it along with a local witch doctor, shaman, whatever you guys want to call them. They're local magicians is what I call them, but local magicians that will help us to understand the traditions of the island, but also give us intake and understanding of their foods. Because as they say, the food is for the soul. So, but yes, it will be a 5-day retreat, and that information will be up as well this coming week.
Wow. Okay, that is so exciting. And just such a great way for you to bring your multi-passionate, multi-dimensional magic through. So I'm curious, 2 years ago, would you have been able to imagine this is where you would be right now?
Oh God, no. I'll be very honest with you. No, I thought I was going to just stay as a photographer for the rest of my life. But, and it's funny because I had had these callings several times and never listened to them because of the fear that came across everything. But one of the things that I really detrimentally listened to, not only did my grandmother show up right in front of my face, but it was that time. And, there, your intuition in your body and your soul just knows when it's that part of that alignment that you need to hear. So in your answer, no, I would have never thought I would be here right now having this summit call with you, talking about, my journey to listening to my intuition. And my biggest thing that I want to let everyone know is really, really listen. I know sometimes it comes knocking 3, 4, 5, 6 times until we actually do. And that's okay. It's part of that acceptance is that when you finally can feel it in your body and in your soul. I assure you, it was the most beautiful feeling I ever felt. I was like, okay, I'm back now. I'm home.
Yeah. I think a lot of us don't actually fully accept that because there's a fear that a lot is going to change, because it almost always does, right? It shoots us onto our cosmic trajectory. But like you're saying, not only is it a beautiful sensation, but then you're being supported by the universe and your ancestors. And just, it's like the forces of creation gather to support you. And so opportunities just show up for you when you're in alignment with who you are and you're sharing yourself authentically, right? People like, hey, will you collaborate with me? Hey, what about this course idea? And it'll just drop in. And so while it's terrifying to make that leap, it actually brings us so much more magic and grace and ease, and sometimes challenges, but you've got more resilience to manage the challenges.
Exactly. Then it just comes with flow afterwards.
Yeah. And it's not as though like every challenge goes away, but when you have that connection to who you really are and you remember that it really doesn't feel so overwhelming or difficult to overcome, because you have all of that knowledge that you can pull on, not only from your ancestors, but from your multidimensional self, from the earth, from the stars. You're able to pull in what you need. And it does get to be a lot more fun.
It does.
We do get to play with that. Mm,
Exactly. Amazing.
yes. So this is feeling like a beautiful place for you to drop in your links if people are wanting to connect with you, follow you on social media, or get on the wait list for that beta course or for the retreat in Hawaii. So many beautiful, fun things are
Oh,
coming
I can't
up.
wait. So I'm just dropping in all of that information here for you guys, and then as well as my Facebook if you guys need to connect. So that'll be amazing.
Mm. You've said so many profound things, and there's a lot of mic drops. I'm curious, not to put you on the spot, but is there anything that your ancestors would like people to know right now?
How did you know they were so loud? Um, okay, give me 1 second.
Mhm.
I find the most important concept of the universe is as we go into the new, we must remain to understand the old. For the connection and the bridges we have with each other are never wavering. We're always here to be with you, and we are always here to guide you. Once you connect with us, we are here with you forever. So you're not alone. You're never alone. Be it us, or be it your other guides. You're always here with someone.
Mm.
And that was my grandmother, Maria.
Awesome. Yeah, it felt like somebody wanted to speak.
She's always a very spoken person.
I love it. I wonder where you got that from, but now I know, right?
I was named after her, so it makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. So beautiful. So thank you to Maria and Maria for sharing all of that wisdom with us, for sharing that reminder that when we do connect in deeper to ourselves and to the universe, we're not alone and we don't have to do it alone, right? The time for that is over. The time for being separate from everybody and feeling that loneliness, isolation, even even though COVID times are still happening, I'm talking about on a spiritual level. We do not any longer have to feel disconnected from the all that is and all the support that's available for us. And so if you are feeling like you're ready to take a leap, to evolve, to connect in with more of who you are and remember all of that, listen to those little nudges. Listen to those things that say, hey, connect with her. Hey, take that program, or lean into those things that feel really terrifying, because that's a signal that maybe this is
Mhm.
for you, right? If it wasn't for you, it would be flat and there would be no resonance field there. You'd be like, oh, that's not for me. But if you hear it and your heart starts to pound and you're like, oh my God, that sounds so scary, lean in and feel if this is actually what your soul is asking you to do, whether it be stepping into your own entrepreneurship or just taking a course to explore, right? Got the links. If you're watching this on YouTube, they'll be in the notes just under the video as well. And be sure to like and subscribe. And I am not sure if my 2 o'clock conversation with Nicole will be streamed right to my personal profile, or if I'll be able to get it into the group. It depends on how Zoom behaves. If you're not already a part of the Radiant Evolution Collective, check it out at joyevolution.group. So Maria, thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back at 2 p.m. Mountain in about an hour with Nicole Rose, soul sister and collaborator, and we're going to have a great conversation as well. She's the best, as are you. So sending you all so much love. Maria, thanks for sharing your heart and your light, and good luck with all of the amazing things you are creating now.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.